get started. So there's so many things that are on people's minds, and actually I'm going to start with fiscal and financial questions, because that's what I've been seeing on Nextdoor a lot.
All right.
People are talking about all the different things that are going on and what City Hall is voting on, and so I have a couple specific questions, and then if you want to expound on any of these things, that's great. But first of all, what do you think about the property tax situation in Kyle? And what would you do differently than what's going on right now?
Okay, right now, what is very important for everybody to understand is property assessment, the methodology for property assessment is going to be totally changed by Prop 4. You're going to be voting, I guess, on the people doing the assessment, and they have to have certain training requirements. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of Prop 4 on the ballot this time is that you're going to have to realize $100,000 reduction in your assessed value, which will lower your property taxes by an average of $1,450 a year.
Okay.
That's in Prop 4. Okay. The craziness of property taxes here is beyond my understanding, because we've come from states where you pay $2,000 a year for a mansion.
Wow.
In property taxes.
I like that.
Okay. It's very important to realize that everything that's on the ballot, there's like 14 propositions, several of them reduce your costs. The basic reduction in the property tax is going to be school taxes for everybody, because that money is coming from $10 billion plus excess sales tax that has been sequestered or controlled by the state government.
Okay.
So they're not losing money in the school, okay, but at the same time, you're getting the bonus of $1,450 a year. They did that because people have been complaining statewide not being able to pay for their property taxes for the year. And a lot of people, especially older people, okay, who are not bringing down large salaries or just retired, okay, are very a lot of them are on the verge of losing their houses.
Right, right.
So this should help reduce that.
Okay. And I saw something about the city was trying to conscript that money.
Take
it.
Right. They were trying to take it. We in the city of Kyle, we approved a tax rate of 0.50 something, and the current tax rate is 0.46. They got a lot of negative feedback from the people in the community. They're not going to try. They were going to try and take the tax up to the 0.50, so they could pay off all their debts that they've already got on bond issues to get more money back.
So whatever they would have saved would have been lost to all these people in the city of Kyle.
Right. Everything that they would have taken, difference between 0.46 and 0.50, that percentage rate would have been used to pay down the bonds, but they stopped it. It's not going to be done.
I'm glad for that. So if you were mayor, what would you do to kind of deal with these kinds of situations?
With the property taxes? First of all, I think it's more important for the mayor, he's only one of 7 votes on the council, but it's very important for the mayor to have time to listen to the people instead of just businesses and things like that. I've seen that there's just been a lack of concern over the people in the community by the current administration.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what you would do. You would get more involved with the people.
Oh, the purpose of government is to provide for the people, not to provide for growth in business. I came to Kyle because I liked a small town. Okay, and since we came, it was like 28 to 32,000 people in Kyle in 2015, and now we're at least 60,000. I was involved with the census. And a lot of people did not respond to the census, so they assumed 2.95 people per household. You could have 7 cars in the driveway, but it's still assumed.
Wow.
Okay? But personally, I would try to I would try to stop anything that would increase the taxes for the local people.
That's good. What, because I forgot to ask you in the beginning, but what prompted you to run for mayor in the first place?
Okay. I was in a men's group in Bible study at St. Anthony's, and I was one of the core team members. And back in July, a gentleman that I know very well said, you know, when they start the council meetings, they don't pray for wisdom or guidance. He noticed that, and he said, yes, I realize it, because we do that at all of our meetings. And
The government used to always do that.
the government always used to do that, right? Absolutely. The biggest problem we have is they said, well, this is, you know, we're just going to do this according to a certain procedure, and they don't take into account the faith-based of the community.
Right. It's
Okay.
true.
So that started in July, and then he came back to me a couple days later. He said, why don't you run for mayor? Okay? Because, you know, put the idea in my mind, and then 3 weeks later, I ended up going down to City Hall, putting my name in to be on the ballot. That's how I go.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, you know. I said, you know, a lot of people are concerned over the way the current mayor has done his job.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And over certain circumstances in his life, I apparently got, well, I did get a email from an unknown source, really, okay, that mentioned that he had an issue on March 22nd of 2023. And that issue it was involved with a concern of for his health, and he had admitted to smoking marijuana during that.
Wow, and that was a
Okay.
public admission?
That was a public admission. But I went to since my wife and I have been involved in the elections, we went down to the elections office and said, is this an issue? And they said, no, we can't say it's an issue. You'll have to go to the people in the city. So I went to the city secretary and expressed my concern. Is this an issue for the current mayor? Should he be able to run? Because it's a class 1 drug.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And so she said, I don't know. So she put it to the city attorney, okay? And the city attorney wrote me back a one-line thing, said, no, we don't see this to be an issue. Which shocked me, but then again, the city attorney is
So we're talking rules versus laws here.
rules versus laws, right, okay? The law, if he had actually admitted to doing it, he was concerned about it, okay, but he had not been charged. The police went to his house with a 911 call and everything, but he did not get charged with anything.
Wow.
That was very frustrating for myself and my wife and a lot of people that we know. I had no knowledge of this before I had signed up for mayor. Someone just sent me this email and said, look into this. The other issues for why I want to become involved is too much of the time is spent on getting businesses into this area, okay? It's nice to have a lot of selections and opportunities, but I don't see businesses coming into this community that actually provide a sustainable income for most of the people that want to buy homes or rent homes. The rents are at $1,200 to $1,400 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Houses are in the $300,000 plus. You look at the overall cost of living here, it's forcing Kyle to remain a bedroom community. I don't like the, what would you call it, that block grant or the new development on the west side where you have apartments and businesses all combined together, okay? I really don't like that. I'm a person that likes a house with a yard, okay? Where you can go outside and enjoy yourself.
Right. It seems to attract a certain type of crowd, I think.
Yes, it does. It attracts people that are interested in the community.
Okay, so, let's see, you're kind of touching on some of my questions without me having to ask, which is good. One of them has to do with, well, how about this? In light of what you just talked about, how would you address that allocation of funds as a mayor?
Allocation of funds.
In order to bring, like, for instance, the high rises that they're planning to bring in and things like that. So how would you, as a mayor, kind of shift the things in a different direction regarding the funding?
Personally, I would try to limit the number of building permits. Because the biggest problem we have in our community right now is the availability of water,
Yes.
okay? And as a result of that, you want to, I put in one of my comments on Nextdoor, you have a choice. You can have water to drink or water to water your lawn. The first one is important to life. The second one, you're not going to survive if we don't have the water. We're currently not going to be getting water here to increase our supply until the end of 2025. Again, which gives the desire to minimize building permits. Now,
And where's that water going to come from in 2025?
the Corazon Basin. As a matter of fact, I listened to a 3-hour presentation about 4 weeks ago. The Corazon Basin, which is about 90 miles southeast of us. And the amount of water that's going to be able to be brought into the area for San Marcos, Buda, Kyle, Martinsville, and a couple other little towns is going to be 28 million gallons of water per day. We currently, in Kyle, use about 4.6 million gallons a day.
Okay.
So the water that we're going to get is 2 years off, and everybody knows about the water restrictions right now, okay? So I agree with trying to minimize water usage. I've never seen grass do anything but look good, okay?
It's true. You can't eat it.
You can't eat it. You water it, and then you mow it, and you water it, and you mow it, okay? Whereas I believe that xeriscaping would be a good solution. And I believe the city should get involved with xeriscaping.
Explain that for people who don't know what that is.
Okay, xeriscaping is where you have minimal plants and grass that require a lot of water. Okay, it could be like stones and gravel and
Like they do in Arizona.
like they do in Arizona. Okay. Matter of fact, we had some friends in Arizona before we started populating Arizona. Okay, the they didn't have a bunch of problems with water. Okay, then they started having to put walls up in their yards and everything like that, and the it's a nightmare for Arizona too. I mean, they just don't have it in Phoenix and
Right.
other areas.
Yeah, I lived there too, so, yeah.
Which
that-
area?
Tucson, Phoenix, and,
Oh, yes.
That
Very, very
vicinity.
dry, very dry.
yes. Nothing
And
but cactus and rocks.
cactus and rocks, yeah. The benefit is of that type of environment, you're going to work, you come home, you don't spend an hour working on the lawn. It's the same as it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I suppose another thing people could do would be collecting water.
Yes, like taking your air conditioner, having all the water that's taken off of your air conditioner into a receptacle of some type, and then you can use it to water your flowers.
So, this is good. Let me ask you, how would you,
Getting back to finance.
okay, sure.
Okay, getting back to finance. Now, the mayor has one voice out of 7 on the budget. They approved the budget. And all this information comes from the finance department and all the departments within the city. So he only has one voice, but he has to sign off on it.
Right.
But if he refuses to sign off, it takes more votes to get it to be signed off. So I would be very, very critical of increasing the budget. Although the people that work for the city are getting a 40% increase in wage or something like that because they've been really limited in their income over the last 10 years. So I don't know, but we now have 390 people that work for the city. That was the latest number, which is one for every 154 people, or 100 for every 150 people.
Yeah, I don't know much about how cities run as far as from that aspect of it, but
Oh, you've got the water department, you got the water sewage
the
and
street
garbage.
department, all of that.
All that, yeah. Well, there are a lot of issues with what's going on. Originally, the current mayor had tried to move everything out of the center of Kyle up to 1626 in that
Right.
area. Okay. Now, he has succeeded with the safety center.
Right.
The second floor of the
Is
safety
that
center.
more than a police station?
It's more than a police station. Second floor of the safety center. You walk up the stairs on the left as you're going in, and you have the city secretary and several other offices, various people. Even the city manager is up there part of the time. He comes back and forth.
Oh,
The only one that's downtown is the finance department and the engineering department now.
really?
That is correct. Yeah.
Planning moved there and everything?
No, planning is still down here.
Okay.
Engineering, planning, and finance.
Okay.
But all the other people are moved up to the safety center on the second floor. I walked in and I walked into Jennifer's office, who's the city secretary. It's a very, very nice office, about the size of this room.
Oh,
Okay? I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I think it's what's important is where are they spending the money? Okay? That safety building cost 37 million, I think it was. And we'll be paying for that for 10 years.
is that something that we, as a community, I don't recall having a vote on that.
Yes, we did.
We did?
We had a vote on it.
Well, I probably voted no then.
Okay, but we did. We
Said it was gonna increase taxes.
right, yes, I understand. But the biggest issue is with the issues in our town with crime and everything like that, the biggest number of people that are added to the city budget are in the area of safety and police force. Okay? I think we have 55 policemen right now, and then on top of that, you got 30 or 40 support personnel at the safety center.
Wow. Well, the police we need, I think we need more of those because of all the
Oh, yeah.
crime that's starting to crop up in Kyle, but.
Yeah, I was walking by my fence outside my yard about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there was a motorcycle cop sitting there, okay? And he said, yeah, we got a couple calls that someone's been speeding up and down this road. And just his presence stopped it,
Wow, that's,
okay? And
that says a lot, doesn't it?
yeah, yes, but you know the issues that we have locally. If you watch on Nextdoor, the theft of vehicles,
It's rampant, isn't
It
it?
is rampant, yes. Now, a lot of it is people leave their keys in the car.
Oh, that's not a good thing. Is that for real? That's what's happening?
Yeah, they do, yes. From what I gather, okay.
Because it's not that hard to steal a car these days,
No, you can.
even if they don't have their keys in the car.
Okay, or they leave their computer in their car.
There've been a lot of break-ins.
There's been a lot of break-ins, yes. And I think we need a lot more police to be able to keep us safe.
Yes.
And I believe
Yes.
a lot of the safety is, that we need is to combat what's coming across the border.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Do you feel that the increase in crime is connected?
Oh, absolutely, there's no question in my mind. Okay. We know people that are from the other side, okay, but they're coming here legally, and they're upset. Okay?
Yes, of course.
Because they followed the procedures to get here, and the ones that are coming through are maybe they're criminals. Now, in the state of Texas, we're being made a spectacle by the news media, okay, that, hey, they're putting them on buses and sending them to states where they want, that are more friendly to immigrants, okay? And what do they expect us to have another, well, in the last couple of years, it's been 3 million people or
Yeah,
something
something like
coming
that.
across that border?
I think it's more than
Where
that.
are we gonna put 3 million? Our population that is legal is gone from like 24 million to 29.5 million in the last election, or last census, I mean. 5.5 million people were added to Texas, which is about almost 20%. And I know we're growing, but we don't have the resources to take care of all that locally.
So how would you address that as a mayor?
I wish I could. Oh, the mayor.
Mayors have a lot of clout
Oh,
in
yes.
cities.
The mayor has one particular clout. He can take the position of the chief of police
Okay,
in a certain circumstances where he believes it's necessary or the community is threatened. I think our chief of police is doing a very good job, so I can't see that happening. But that is one of the positions. Say you've got crime in one particular area, he can go to the chief of police and say, "You're going to go there." It's in the candidate details and in the city charter. There's a lot of authority there. The mayor and the council, okay, together, hire, or they hire the judge, okay, they hire the city attorney, they hire the city manager, okay, and if things are not going the right way, then you have the way you can remove them from office.
oh, okay. And then are there also,
They serve at the pleasure of the council.
okay. Well, so what would you do?
What would I do right now?
If you were mayor right now with things going on the way they are with the increase in crime and some of the other things like the attempts at picking up children on their way home from school.
Oh, I read about that.
Things like that. How do we protect our children? And how do we protect our community?
How do we protect our children? How do we protect our community? By prayer. I'm afraid that right now prayer is the only solution to that, okay? Because we have 55 people. The city of Kyle is roughly 30 square miles, okay? You'd probably have to have a police force of 150 to have constant patrolling of all the areas. Education of the people on how to be watchful, okay, of what's going on in the community would be more important, than, hiring another 75 policemen. The other day on Nextdoor, I saw something about a woman's granddaughter was being chased down by somebody from Houston.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes.
A child.
A child, a granddaughter, so probably 12, 14 years old, no more details than that. But it was right here on the east side, if I remember reading it correctly. To me, the granddaughter should not have been there by herself,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
It's not,
So education. for
Education,
families.
education. Making sure that you have someone that you're with and always go 2 by 2, like when we were raised. You never really went by yourself in very many places.
No, that's true.
Yes.
And also it was safer then.
It was safe. Oh, it was so much
So-
safer then, Mm-hmm. It's been such a degrading in our society because of failure of our society to maintain its base in faith.
Yes, that's
Okay.
kind of rooted in that, isn't it?
Yes, it is, it's totally rooted in that.
Yep.
Okay, you go, okay, no, this is only for the Christians out there, or maybe other religions. If you go away from your religion and your faith and your relationship, and you lose something in your community, and then you lose the connectivity with good control over society.
Yes. So somebody that's watching mentioned Crime Watch in the neighborhoods, and I think that's a good idea, and
Yeah,
maybe the city could get involved in helping people get things like that started.
We have that in Steeplechase right now. We have a crime watch.
Do you?
Yeah, I know.
Is it
A neighbor-
done by neighborhood?
Neighborhood watch. Yeah, we have neighborhood watch. And people are walking around on the streets and they're cognizant of what's going on. Okay.
No. Okay, so I saw a post that you made about the traffic circle, and so I thought I would just ask you about your thoughts on traffic in general in Kyle, because it's definitely getting worse.
Okay, since we're quite like a bedroom community right now, and people are going to San Marcos or they're going to Austin for work, the purpose is getting out of town, getting back in town fast, okay? Right now, if you were to go down near HEB after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you'd be waiting 20 minutes to get from maybe the Wells Fargo bank branch there all the way down into to the east side. Just 20 minutes. The city has gone about and spent money in designing roundabouts. A lot of people are concerned about the roundabouts, and my wife and I are definitely concerned about them because we've been in communities where they have roundabouts. One was Talmadge, Ohio, where there was 8 streets coming into the roundabout.
wow.
Okay, and you had all
That
sorts
sounds
of
dangerous.
It was dangerous because they eventually put rumble strips to slow people down to going in it because they wanted to keep on going and get through fast. Right now, they wanted to put a roundabout at the corner of Lehman and Button Creek, right next to the high school, with 300, 400 kids going out of the school at peak traffic time. I think it was very foolish in my doing that. I personally, since I was checking into the cost of putting a bridge in, so say you put an overpass in, so you'd have free flow of traffic non-stop at that corner, at that intersection.
Okay.
And the state ranges from $5 to $10 million to put a bridge in over two lanes. Okay, you would, if you were to put something like that, it might minimize the problem. You wouldn't have to buy property, okay, using the existing roads.
True.
Yeah.
Or confiscate property.
Or confiscate property, yeah. Of course, one of the reasons they're looking at in the roundabout area there, supposedly that land is all swampland. Would be very difficult to get it in the proper condition to put a road in there.
You mean like flood zone?
Flood zone, yes, swampland, flood zone.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
That's interesting.
You know, I saw that recently.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's right there.
Probably because when the last floods,
Mm-hmm.
Lehman Road that was before they fixed Lehman Road,
Yes,
and that was all underwater, so
yes.
I didn't go down that way. Didn't go far enough to know that it flooded there too.
Yeah. Oh, you just take the other night, I was, I went to the corner there of Lehman and Monroe, and I just stopped, pulled up to the side, and I wanted to watch the traffic. The traffic was backed up, I'd say at least 100 cars going west.
Yeah.
And this was at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. There was not a game going on, okay? And if you would have a overpass bridge there, there would be no traffic. No need for a traffic light, no traffic on that.
Right.
You might get down to Philomena where you might need something to be done there, okay? But my concept would be very simple. You might put a bridge over Lehman, over the Bunton Creek there, and then you have a bypass just before that, and you go through that flood zone without having a roundabout, so traffic is constantly moving.
So you're a man with solutions. You're not just a man who doesn't like what's going on, but you have solutions, it sounds like.
Well, I've been involved with a lot of construction and manufacturing for 40 years. It's important to me that you look at a project from multiple directions instead of just taking the first thing that
Right.
comes to mind.
Well, that's a good thing to know, that there are alternatives to some of the things that are
There's always
that are being
alternatives.
decided right now.
There's always alternatives. As a matter of fact, one of my competitors, a young lady, said, even though it's planned, it's not planned in concrete. Things can be changed.
Yes.
Okay? Especially since the bond was issued in 2020. They were all sold. The money's sitting there. They were sold at 3.5%.
Okay.
Okay? Because I talked to my Edward Jones advisor, and he said, yeah, we have 10,000 shares at 3.5%. Okay? So 3.5%. The current interest rate is 5.5%. I think they're taking the money, okay, and getting interest off of it, okay, to try and pay down some of the current debts. Because at the last council meeting, they were talking about a change, trying to get something done on Windy Hill Road. It had to do with a Texas Historical Society having to do a dig next to the road for some unknown reason, okay? And they were questioning, why should we spend $75,000? You always have contingency funds when you're doing road changes and things like that. But I've heard that we're talking 7 years before they do anything.
Oh, wow.
Okay, how many people are how much frustration do the citizens have to have before they all congregate down in Center Street and say, enough is enough? 7 years. They've got the money because we've already approved it. And they've sold all the bonds, as to my understanding, that is. I know Edward Jones only took a couple, like 10,000 or so shares, but at $1 a share or something like that, or whatever it was that. But that money should be available for them to start construction. I know they're doing the design, but it's important that you show progress. If I were in the position of mayor, I would require weekly reports to the people of what's being
I
done.
like that.
Okay? Not, oh, well, we'll look at it next month. Oh, getting back to the water situation. When I was listening to the Alliance Regional Water Authority, they had a 3-hour meeting. Most of it was political garbage, okay?
Okay.
All right? And then they got down to the end, and the dates were given for Waterstone was going to be the January 2025, and then December 2025 was going to be where they're going to hook into, I think, 1626. And then they said, well, we're going to go out for bids for the Kyle extension. This has been going on since 2007.
It's amazing the things we don't know that
Okay.
go on behind the scenes.
Okay, and we're only getting bits and pieces that I'm picking this up. Now, if you were in there, you might be able to get more information. I know in industry, you make a plan, you work that plan, but you have programs, computer programs, that allow you to track everything on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So you know what's going on and when you will be able to get to the end point. Because usually it's bottom line. It seems like they think it's a bottomless pit.
Yes. The
no.
citizens are the resources.
The citizens are the resources. And again, all right, the population with Kyle was 28 to 32,000 people when we came here. Now it's about 60,000. Their 2030 plan says maybe 70,000 by the year 2030. Their plan is still being wishy-washy is what it is. Okay, and if you have that number of people coming in the community, if you don't do a lot of changes, okay, to the infrastructure, okay, you won't survive. You have
Like
to
what
have
kinds of changes?
roads,
Okay.
water, sewer, you gotta have to have all that, okay? But I would say that it's very important to go slower, okay? Because I would think that if we increased our population by 30,000, and let's say out of that 30,000, I think we have 14,000 houses in Kyle, or 15,000, somewhere around there, that the average tax basis should go down. Not up.
Yes.
Not up.
Yes.
Okay? It's very, very difficult to understand, because now I'm from Western New York, the state of taxation. Okay?
New York and California.
New York and California, state of taxation. But property taxes up there, where I can remember when I took over my dad's house, it was like $1,200 a month. Okay? And that was, 20 years ago, okay? And I mean, my brother-in-law lives up there. He has 11 acres, a log cabin and everything, and a lot of ponds and all sorts of beautiful things like you have here, okay? And I think he pays like $8,000 a year, okay? But he's got all different services that you may not have out here, okay?
Big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's move on to, let's see. All right. Your governing philosophy. Should the people be more involved, or should the government tell people what they should have?
My thoughts on that are not, well, okay. The government is supposed to be responsive to the people, period. Or they're not doing their job, okay? And there's certain ways you can express that which cannot be spoken, I think. Okay.
Well, that's in a nutshell. There you go.
Yeah.
You mean the government should, we should really be governed of the people, by the people, for
All the people,
people.
by the people, for the people. Not of my dream plan for the city and my whatever.
And you're gonna like it.
And you're gonna like it. And without getting input from the people. I mean, they did, now, there's planning and zoning is pretty good, okay? They go out and they get input from the city. But the question is, the communications department sends this out to the people in the community that are on the internet or whatever. What about the rest of the community that has no internet? I would say there's a good portion of the citizens of Kyle that are not on the internet.
Really?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not. I'll give you a issue. We talked about the roundabouts. The roundabouts right at Lehman Road and Mutton Creek, okay, it went down to, they weren't going to do it on the first vote at council, which is, if you take a look at the city charter, you get one vote. But as I have found out, there's a certain document that allows them to go back and reconsider things, okay? And apparently, well, all the representatives on this side of 35 East, okay, voted against the roundabout because they were listening to the people, okay? But there were four of the representatives, the mayor on the west side and three other council members from the west side. They all voted to put the roundabout in.
So they
if-
voted against what the majority of the people wanted.
They voted against what the people on the east side wanted. they've kind of forced the issue.
Wow. Huh.
And that was brought to me by both council members, okay, because all three council members on the east side voted against it. So if you got an issue it's on the east side, why would the west side vote against it? Because they're more interested in money or something like that, or the safety of the children? Because the biggest issue with the roundabout is, how are the kids going to get across when you have
Right.
constant flow of
There's
traffic?
no way to get across.
No.
Wow. Okay, so here, this is an interesting topic. It's something that a lot of people are talking about, and some people might not know exactly these terms. But we know that there's this movement going on for ESG scores, for instance, that's where they give you, they connect this with your credit score, and they score you for environment, social, and governance. Now, there's two other ones. DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Okay.
and CRT, critical race theory. And those things are hot topics, back and forth, depending on what side people are on.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us what you know about that, and what, some of these things are being forced into communities.
Okay.
So how would you touch on that? What would you do about that? Like, for instance, bathrooms, that's a big one, right? The whole bathroom thing with the kids and the schools and the transgender
Okay.
thing and
I
whatnot.
understand.
This is all kind of connected. So what would you do as a mayor to address the situation? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Okay, all right. To all the people out there that are involved with transgender and everything like that, I would like to pray for you, okay? Because I don't believe that God designed people to be like that, all right? I'm sorry if you don't agree with me, but there's only a certain amount of difference in our world. Right now, you can have 25 different labels of what you
Yes.
are, and that drives me nuts. So, I mean, it's a position in our society that has come as a result of walking away from God, period. I'm not going to change how I believe on that, but I would fight anything like that here in town, at all.
Yeah, when we deal with this as an agenda or as a plan is what you're
As
referring
an
to,
agenda or
right?
as a plan, right.
Right, because we're not against individuals, even though
No.
we don't agree necessarily
Well, yeah,
with
right.
certain lifestyles or whatever, but
No,
this
yeah.
isn't a personal thing, and I just want to make that
Okay,
clear. That's not
okay,
what I'm hearing
it's-
from
it's-
you.
It's not personal. What it is if you want that lifestyle, stop pushing it on us
There you go.
that don't agree.
And our
with that.
children.
And our children, okay? You need to, it's between you and your relationship with the Creator, or God, in my case, it's Jesus Christ, okay? We all sin. We all make mistakes. And there's only one way of coming to God, through His Son, period. And that's what I'm going to believe. That's what I've believed all my life. And I'm not saying that, I'm saying that it's between you and God. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I'm going to say this is a better way. Okay? You have to make that decision yourself.
So when it comes to these things, like, it starts affecting our community, for instance, and like, I went to a restaurant last week where there were two restrooms, neither one of them designated for male or female.
Okay?
And it's like, why? But that kind of thing is
Did they have
starting to
locks on the
happen.
door?
In Kyle, I think I didn't use it, but these kinds of things, and then there's the issue with the all the girls in school in many communities are being forced to allow boys to come in their locker rooms, to come in their bathrooms. So, from a legislative or governing point of view, what would you do?
From a legislative or government point of view, I would not agree with any legislation that forced that upon the people. The government is to support the people, but not to change the mores of the people,
Good answer, yeah.
okay? We have a good portion of the population, probably 95%, has grown up with certain values. And there's another 5% or 10, percent, whatever, that are trying to control our society. Let's talk about the issue of homosexuality, okay? From a Christian standpoint, it is not acceptable, nor is adultery, nor is murder, whatever.
Right.
They're all sins, and we are all liable for those sins, period. I don't agree with that lifestyle or anything like it, but I agree with that we're all sinful, and that we all will have the need for salvation through the Lord. Because if we could do it ourselves, what do we have? What need do we have of a religion or a creator?
That's right. Well, I'm thinking in terms of these things being forced.
Oh, yes.
And in the sports and
Oh, yes.
and all these different arenas that, from as a mayor, there are things that can be addressed if they try to bring that into Kyle, where they start teaching the children, well, you got to choose what gender you are and things like that, and you've got to use the bathroom with the boys, and you've got to use the locker room even though they say they're not boys. So, from a mayor point of view, how would you? There are ways to handle that. I know, but I'm curious to know what.
Okay, all right. Again, the mayor is one of 7 people on council. He's one of 7 votes. My personal vote would be to avoid anything like that or stop it before it started in the community. And I know several of the people that are on council, not very well, but I know them, and they would do the same thing. They would fight to stop that type of incursion into our moral values in our society.
That's good. Yeah,
Okay?
that's good.
It's very, very difficult. We fought wars over less. Okay? So
Yeah.
right, we did.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so we're getting close to the finale here, and I don't know if we have any people online anymore. Maybe you can see if Michelle is on. Okay, so I think you've addressed some of these
other thing
things.
is we all sin, but God's love is greater
Yes,
than
it
our
is.
sin.
Yes, it is.
Okay, period. He loves all his children.
Just send her a message. Okay, so this is a personal thing. I'm going to ask you a question that affects me, but it doesn't affect just me. It affects a lot of people in this community, and that has to do with wild animals, such as coyotes, bobcats, cougars, wild hogs, that are invading our community and beginning to make it unsafe for pets, for livestock. I lost one of my livestock due to a pack of coyotes. And there seems to be, the laws in Kyle are not specific enough. It doesn't address what to do about predators coming on your property. But I think even more than that, we need to look at the possibility of changing the population of some of these animals, because it's going to be dangerous to children next.
Right, yes.
And it's not the only community where children have been attacked. I mean, it hasn't happened here yet, thankfully. But it's happened in Dallas, it's happened in other
I think
communities,
it
it's
was in
happened in
Dallas.
California.
Yeah, I think in Dallas there was a situation where a vulture,
A vulture?
or a big bird of some type, came down and swooped down and got a dog and took it off for its next meal.
Wow. Well, I'm concerned about the children. Of course, I'm concerned about the
Yeah,
animals too, but
right.
I'm concerned about the children because, you know, some of us live in places that are more open
Right,
and,
rural.
you know, my grandchildren come over and we can't let them go outside and play by themselves
Because of the.
because I've had a pack of coyotes coming on my property and killing, and they went right over the fence, you know, so there's too many.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Now-
anyway.
No, 'cause-
What can we do legally in the city of Kyle to address these kinds of issues, and what are your thoughts on that?
well, first of all, we caused the problem, okay, because this was their area, and we're pushing them out of their natural habitat. And as a result of that, I think that we have to find some way of transporting them out of the area, okay, to protect our citizens.
They used to do that with wolves, didn't
They
they?
used to do it with wolves, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, was it on PBS I saw a couple of years ago, they took a whole bunch of wolves, they went in and they used tranquilizers, they got rid of the pack of wolves that were affecting the community. And they,
Right.
and they relocated them
Right.
to a non-populated area. You know, that to me is a humane way, but I also believe if you have animals that's part of your property, okay, that you're going to have the right to protect your property.
Yes, and in the city of Kyle, you're not allowed to shoot them unless they're actively killing one of your animals.
That's stupid. Stupid. I'm sorry. Hear this, Trevor? I mean, Travis, hear this.
I don't know
That's stupid.
who made that law, and it didn't used to be the law, but in the state of Texas and in Kyle, you are allowed to shoot your gun if you have more than 10 acres. You are allowed to shoot your gun, period, for self-defense. And coyotes are not a protected, I'm just using coyotes as an example. Coyotes and cougars are not protected animals. So, but when I got in a conversation with someone from the city, they said, well, that's all true, but you can't shoot them unless they're attacking you, if they're on your property.
Just like you can't stop someone from coming in and raping you in your house or committing a violent crime against you. You just got, what the police told me once was, okay, if you got someone that's attacking your property or you, shoot them, drag their body inside. Okay, now that may not be legally correct, but that's probably what he would have done. Okay, and he was an officer of the law.
But you're not recommending that now.
Oh, I'm not saying, no, stand your ground.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
It's your property, and you need to protect that which you own.
Yes.
And I know what you're talking about.
And I was told that another one of my sheep would have to die before they would allow any shooting of coyotes.
Travis, that's bullshit.
Well, that-
Sorry.
That came
Sorry.
through the, that came through the animal control people.
Animal control people. Well, okay.
But their job is
well,
to control.
Travis, as part of city council before this election, you get them back in a room and talk to them about the rights of the people versus the rights of the coyotes.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I mean, we caused the problem because our city's expanding, pushing them out of the area. But then again, they get into packs, and those packs can kill everything that,
they can,
yes,
they can. Okay, so.
either that city or give me a fenced-in area at your expense,
Yeah, a very tall fence,
a very tall fence with electrified wire.
right? Okay, so we have, I see one person watching, and that's Susan.
Okay.
And Susan, if you have a question, go ahead and post it up there while I ask my, oh, I don't have a last question. That was my last question.
Okay.
But, and then we're gonna, then after we answer, if there are any questions on here, then we're gonna go to, just letting you just kind of express your heart in a closing.
Okay.
Susan, are you there? Okay, so I guess we don't have another. Bruce, do you have a question? We have some people here live too.
How about keeping property taxes from going too high?
Okay, I'm going to tell them what he asked.
Okay.
Okay, he asked, just in case you couldn't hear, he wanted to know how about keeping property taxes from going too high.
Okay. Okay. Well, again, Proposition 4 changes the methodology of training and everything required for an assessor in each county. It's part of the legislation. That's probably what you're voting on Proposition 4, as well as reducing your appraised value for taxation purposes.
I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
just give an overview of how you, if you're elected mayor, what will be the benefit to the community for having elected you?
Okay. For electing me, the benefit to the community will be, I will listen to the people. Okay. Matter of fact, my door would be open. I know it's a part-time job, but I would make an attempt to get with anybody that has an opinion to express, hopefully that is reasonable, okay? Okay, because we're not going to be playing politics. I've been asked if I'm a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, and this is a nonpartisan position. My major concern is for the people of the community, that we don't become another Austin. I can't believe that more, because we moved here to enjoy the peacefulness of the surroundings. And,
Right.
okay, and you can't do that if you're constantly being fraught with traffic and everything. Now, all these plans for water and traffic are being evaluated. The money's been allocated, okay, and I'm waiting for it to be spent, okay? Now, the bonds have been approved, and my financial manager said they bought $10,000 worth of the bonds, okay? And that was a couple of years ago. The money's there. What's happening to it? You know, I was, like I mentioned earlier, I saw maybe 100 cars on a non-football night lined up by the light on Button Creek. I mean, those people were sitting in line forever. And one lady on next door said it took her half an hour to go 3 miles to get to the hospital.
Wow.
Okay. My concern is for listening to the people. And we've had issues where a lot of people in the government have not listened to the people.
Right.
Okay. I know that we have a new city manager. He seems to be very, very interested in the same things that I'm interested in.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Okay. And also we have several council members, but for some reason, a lot of it is not getting done. Okay. And I think it's maybe because we're in debt, several hundred million as a city.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's something called a TRIS thing for the block, the billionaire thing that they did on the west side there by HEB. all those buildings. Something about there's $107 million right there in roads.
So overall, you would listen to the people.
Absolutely,
You would connect with the people.
yes.
And your interest in Kyle, from all the things that I've heard from you today, your interest in Kyle is making Kyle better, but on on the people's terms and
Yes.
not on the government's terms.
Yes, absolutely.
So would you say that in a nutshell, that's,
That's very, very true. The only issue that you really have in the city council is you don't have control over the ETJ. Okay, the extended
Right.
jurisdiction, okay? Unless they come into the city and agree to the city's requirements. So as far as explosion of population, I would try to minimize what's happening in the city and try to expand the city out and control it by not having so many building permits.
okay, or maybe not having it as so concentrated?
So concentrated, yeah. Not having any multi-story, let's see, multi-story, 7-story buildings. I know we're getting a new hospital and things like that in town, but it's more on the west side. And on the east side, we don't have a lot of things like that, except for Seton.
Well, now I want to address anybody who's watching and say, now you've heard from Bob Ferguson, this candidate, and you know where he stands. And if you have any of the same concerns for Kyle, you might want to consider voting for him. And we know voting starts in 2 days?
No,
I
tomorrow.
believe. Early voting?
Tomorrow,
I thought it was the 24th.
23rd.
Okay. Well, it starts tomorrow. I almost cheated you out of a day.
Okay.
But anyway, your concerns are valid, and your vote is important.
Mhm.
And the way the city of Kyle is run will impact us in the
Yes.
long run.
Absolutely.
And so, as citizens, just whatever you do, please don't stay home.
Yes,
Go to the polls
absolutely.
and vote. And so I just want to sign off, and I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you
It's been
very
a
much.
very interesting conversation,
Thank you very much.
and I will sign off now. And God bless you all.